Morning. Welcome back to the shop. Sorry for the camera action going on. I haven't figured out my new gimbal yet. I want to give an update on where we ended up on the HD36 build yesterday. HD36 V2. I'm going to walk you outside. Thought I'd start in here. It's a rainy day out. So, and we ran into a couple of missing parts from Norwood that we have to work out, and it's a holiday weekend, so it's not going to happen until the middle of next week, and then plus shipping. But show you around a little bit, and if you're just interested in the Norwood stuff, then just fast forward through. But so been working in the shop here. Kate's making some cool puzzle piece cutting boards. Been doing some flattening on them to get ready for her to do some routing. And these are actually not going to be the exact size, you can see. But it's cutting boards on one side, and then the other side it's going to have trays in it for nuts and stuff like that. And she's going to be finishing that up. She made me a cool saw shop sign. She made this for me for Christmas. Hand did all this. This isn't CNC. She hand routed this. The light's pretty good right now, so you can kind of see it. There's a color variance here with the wood. I don't know if I get a better view. You can see the spalting in this piece of ash. And like I said, she hand routed all this for me for Christmas. I did some flattening for her. And so we're going to take a walk outside. We'll talk about the HD36 a little bit. And my thoughts on this so far. A few things, let me grab my coffee. Sorry for all this moving around. We're not in for cinematography, we're in this for the education. Most of the view from here out is going to be of the logs and the log deck and not my face. Show you what we got going on. Actually just dumped that big maple tree right here. Some of that's going to get milled up. The rest of it will be firewood. And this is the mill deck that we've been working on, flattening and getting prepped. You can see our firewood back there. So we had to make sure we had access through here for the firewood. Right where my Bobcat's sitting, that's where the saw shop's going to be. That's where North Falmouth saw shop's going to be. That pallet is the parts that we didn't get to that we had to tarp. Just a thought for some people, and I'm going to talk frankly about this. If you don't have a big shop where you're going to be building one of these mills inside, you have to take all these things into consideration. So that pallet we had to put back together last night and tarp it because it was going to rain today, which it is. That is our log pile right there. So if you don't have a place to put this together that's dry, you got to take these things into account. So we actually have boxes spread out. If you could see from the unboxing video yesterday, if you didn't watch it, watch it. We have boxes spread out all over the place here so we could see what was here and what wasn't. And then we had to put that pallet back together in the dark last night and tarp it so that it didn't get poured on. Now, getting rained on, just to be clear, getting rained on is not going to ruin these parts. Obviously, this mill's been rained on. Those leveling feet have been rained on. But the boxes would all fall apart. So that's got to be a consideration, because you have to take, if you watch my unboxing video, you have to take that whole pallet apart to get at all the boxes. So this is where we ended up last night. We were putting in the saw carriage tracks, which are these little tracks right here under my finger, that the saw carriage rides on all the way down both sides. We had ordered an extension for this, so this is 20 feet long versus it only comes 16 feet long in standard form, but this is 20 feet long with the 4-foot extension. What Norwood missed on us that we'll have to rectify on Tuesday is the box that comes with those carriage tracks was in the package and it wasn't tagged, and you saw us trying to figure out which box it was. What's supposed to be inside that box wasn't inside the box. It had just the right amount of 4-foot sections for a 16-foot mill. As you can see, our last one ended right there when we were putting them in. Didn't have enough 2-foot sections, so it was supposed to come with 4 of these 2-foot sections. If you see the joint right at the end of my finger right here, that's a 2-foot section there, and there's one on that side. And on a 16-foot mill, there's one, well, it would have been in here somewhere, but there'd be a 2-foot section here and a 2-foot section there. That would be at the end down there. You see where this one ends right here. Well, one of those flanges goes on the outside, and then the 2-foot section would go there, and a 2-foot section would go on the other side. So those 2-foot sections, it says there was supposed to be 4 of them in the box. There were only 2. So right off the bat, we did get that box. It was supposed to have 6 of the 4-footers and 4 of the 2-footers, and it didn't have all 4 2-footers. The next thing, the box that we were missing was supposed to have, and it says it was here, but it's not. It was supposed to have 2 4-foot sections in it, and that would have been that 4-foot section and that 4-foot section. And then if we had gotten what it says was in this box, these 2 2-foot sections, we'd be all done right now with putting that part of this mill deck together. But those parts are missing, so we're going to get with Norwood Tuesday morning because it's New Year's week. And they'll have to get them out to us, and when they get them out to us, we'll finish that. But right now we're at a standstill because we can't, let's use the word true, we can't true this deck right now. We could square it, but we can't true the tops because we don't have all those carriage rails. Once you put all the carriage rails in, you can run strings and true the top and then tighten this all together. So right now it's basically all finger tight. It's not screwed tight. The log bunks are all screwed tight to themselves as a unit, but this whole mill deck is not screwed tight. It's all finger tight. And we can't do that until we get the other rail, the rail tracks that we're missing. So that's where we are. 3 of us working on this yesterday, kind of me. You know, you can see I had a table out here. I had my truck parked over here, tools all out here, and 3 of us putting screws in. So what are my thoughts on this? My thoughts are going to start here. Okay, this is a Bobcat T650. It's a 75 horsepower machine, weighs almost 10,000 pounds, 9,600. Lifting capacity is somewhere, depending on what, you know, tip weights and everything, between 5,000 and 8,000 pounds. This is a beast of a machine. It's only got 1,600 hours on it. I know it looks worse, but the place that I got this from took all the decals off it. If it had all the decals on it, it would look like a, you know, fairly new machine. If you don't have a machine, this is going to be a process for you. That means that when they drop off that pallet, they're going to have to unload it by hand, which is what they called me and asked me when they were 15 minutes away. 3 days before it was supposed to be shipped, they called me up. 3 days before it was supposed to be here, they called me up, said, the driver called me and said, "Hey, do you have a machine to take this off the truck?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, thank God, I was going to have to unload by hand." So if you don't have a machine, I asked him, I said, "When are you delivering it?" And he said, "I'm 15 minutes up the road." I was on my way out to work, so I had to take time. They were supposed to call and make an appointment to drop it off. They didn't. They called me when they were 15 minutes up the road, 3 days before it was supposed to be delivered. I have no problem with that. You know, I work for myself, so I stayed home. I warmed up the Bobcat. By the time he showed up, I pulled it out of the back of the truck, and he was on his way. I didn't have time to unwrap it and go through every box and package, but to make sure every box was on that pallet. But if you're just out on, a homestead somewhere and you're ordering this mill, you're getting that box. It's showing up in, that pallet. It's showing up in a truck. It weighed just over 2,200 pounds, and they're going to have to unload it piece by piece by piece, and you're going to have a bunch of cardboard boxes lying around on the ground that you're going to have to move around, and you're going to have to keep them out of the weather. That's something you have to take into consideration. And if you can't move that pallet, wherever you're going to put this mill, you're going to have to carry those boxes to that spot to put this mill together. Now, we can move it around. I can pick this up and go technically put it in my garage right now, which is loaded with tools because I work every day and I have tools all over the place, so I don't have room for it in the garage, but I could have made room. So I could just pick that up, go put it in the garage, bring it back out when it's sunny. But if you don't have that capability, that's going to be a problem for you. You have to take that into consideration. Also, this mill deck's pretty heavy. Not everybody is working on, a concrete pad like Dave is in the video. Now, I'm going to put this on my face for a second because I want to make this clear. If you're going to go through this process, you need to watch Dave's video first. The reason for that is that you need to stay ahead of the build. I watched Dave's video at least 10 times. I grew up in a machine shop and a heavy equipment shop putting machines like this together as a teenager. We had a full line all the way up to D9 size dozers equipment company when I was a kid. I grew up in a machine shop. I grew up doing hydraulics. I have the background. I have the tools. I was welding and putting together hydraulic hoses as a child and operating equipment. I can operate every piece of equipment on the face of the planet. I was educated by, I went to multiple workshops from White GMC to Scania trucks to Fiat Alice equipment all over the planet as a child. I have an ultimate background in things like this. If you don't, to stay ahead of this build, you need to watch Dave's videos. Because if you're just up here with the manual and you're thumbing through one page at a time, one illustration at a time to put this together, this is going to take you forever. If you don't know the difference between 1¼ inch, and 3/4 bolts by eye like I do, because I'm using them every single day, like my son and my wife yesterday with this big box of bolts up here, I can just walk over and I say, oh, those are the 1¼ inch, those are the inch. Don't use that one, that's only 3/4. And I have that ability, and I have them putting in nuts and bolts non-stop on their knees in the mud out here yesterday. They're just out here with their own little containers and just putting stuff in non-stop the whole time. And we got this done basically from 12 o'clock yesterday afternoon until 4:30 last night. So about 4.5 hours it took us to get to this point. That only happened because of me and because of Dave's videos. Because I could stay ahead of them. I'm putting the M brackets in. I've already watched the process. I know the spacers. I know, putting in the this bracket down here, the stiffener bracket right here, and Kate had her little paper clip from Dave's video, and how everything went together. I knew from watching Dave's videos. Now, I still referred to the manual, because what happens is in the chaos of doing this and 3 of us working on it, I also needed to make sure that we didn't get a step out of order, which came up multiple times during this build yesterday, where Kate also, I had Kate watch Dave's videos where Kate was saying, well, Dave didn't do it that way, Dave didn't do it that way. And then I had to refer her back to the manual and say, look, I don't want to get ahead of this manual. So, let's just keep doing what you're doing. you know, she was saying, well, you know, Dave said we should tighten this. And I said, listen, it doesn't say that yet. I could show her and say that's the next step. So let's not get ahead of the next step. So it was really, you know, a balancing act here of keeping them busy, keeping 6 hands going nonstop, and not getting something out of order. So, you know, there are things that I can see here that I did that I'm going to have to fix. If you see, now, I don't believe that this makes a huge difference, but if you see the gap between those splice plates right there, I'm going to close that up. You can see how the, you know, the slotted holes are off center, and those are made that way for a reason. Do I think that needs to be closed? Probably not, but am I going to close it since it's all finger tight? Absolutely. Now, you know that the carriage rails on the top, those are in Dave's videos being closed up, but these aren't. He doesn't show that. You can see that gap on the other side. I am going to close all those up all the way down before I true this mill and tighten everything down. The other thing that's not in Dave's video is how to put those leveling feet in. And there is no video on that. We actually had to call Norwood. Now, I can pick one up and see how they go in. And I went through this with Kate, but Kate was a school teacher, so Kate instantly called Norwood and said, hey, we need instructions on how to put these in. Well, I could pick one up and show her. These bolt to the bottom rail. This catches, one of the bolts is going to have to come out on the cross bunk, and this catches a bolt on the cross bunk. I can see that myself. But if you're not like me, you can't. And you're going to be on the phone with Norwood saying, hey, you got to send me instructions on how to put that in. I know where they go. I know one goes on every corner, and I know one goes at every cross bunk. You don't put one there on that close cross bunk, but you put one, you know, at every cross bunk, and I know what holes they catch just from looking at it. So if you are not like me, you are going to have, and it's raining out right now, but you are going to have to get with Norwood on that, and you're going to have to get a set of instructions, which they emailed to Kate, and Kate printed them out last night, and it's exactly what I thought happens. One of those has to come out. That catches that bolt on the corner, and the other goes bolted into the bottom of that track. So this took us, like I said, Kate got home about noontime. Billy and I had already prepped the deck area and leveled this all out. And we were putting the cross bunks together when Kate came home. And then we went to work on this thing. So sometime we started just after 12. She instantly wanted us to have lunch. So we did eat some lunch. And then we got going, and we stopped when it got dark at 4:30 last night, and we realized that we didn't have all the carriage rails. And that kind of got us into let's put it all away mode. And we loaded the pallet back up, had to put that back together and then tarp it so it didn't get rained on today. So the boxes don't all fall apart. So there are multiple things here that you're going to run into if you think that, you know, you're going to watch Dave's video. We talked about this morning a little bit. Dave's video is very, very good. Dave's very good at what he does. I'm not going to do a video on how to put this together. Dave's is really well done, and in conjunction with Norwood, and it's his boxes numbers are all wrong. The boxes that Dave says, oh, go to box 14 for this is not the box numbers that are in my manual to put this together. So you have to be able to figure that out. But if you watch Dave's video and it looks easy to you and you think that you're just going to get into sawing, and, you know, we've been milling lumber for a long time. I've spent 2 years just selling milled lumber. If you think you're going to put this thing together in your yard, you know, with your kids and have a fun old time, it's not going to be fun for you. You know, I have the capability right now. I've got bottom bolts that need to go in this that are on top of those things that I can come over with the machine and lift it up and put them in. I can come over with the machine, lift it up, put the feet on it, and put it back down. If you can't do that, you're in a world of hurt. This is not the simplest process. I can't stress that enough. You are not some, you know, big farm with big equipment that's got big buildings that they're going to, you know, and workers and welders and tools and everything, where they can pull this thing inside a big barn and they put it together, and then they throw some, you know, slings on it and lift it up with a machine, put it outside where they want it, and they level the thing up and away they go. If you're not that person, this is not going to be an easy process for you. Nothing about it will be easy. It won't be easy to move that pallet. It won't be easy to move that. It won't be easy to put that together. It won't be easy to finish it. And you're going to find yourself on the phone with Norwood saying, hey, I'll pay whatever the fee is for you guys to send out a technician to put this thing together for me. That's where you're going to end up if you're just some Tom, Dick, and Harry who thinks you're going to do this by yourself, and you don't have the capabilities. We have the capabilities to move it. I could put this whole thing together, pick it up, and move it around the yard. If you don't have that capability, this is going to be a huge problem for you. Now, just so that you know, my mill is not going to sit on those blocks. Those blocks are only there to get it up off the ground for us to put it together. I'm putting a deck under that. 20-foot pressure-treated deck for flotation, because it's a temporary spot, because the final resting spot is going to be based on where that building goes right there. And if you look down right there, now we own this lot next door too, but that is our property line, and it kind of goes off in a direction like that, all the way back to my neighbor's lot back there beyond. You see some bamboo in there, and past these oaks. It goes back, I think, 175 feet that way. So I want to build my saw shop on this lot. So it's going to go kind of go where the Bobcat is, and kind of facing diagonally like this. So the footprint of the saw shop is going to be 16 by 16. It'll be timber framed. Tree guys been dropping off pine so I can cut the timbers for the timber frame, which is a lot of what's on the outside here. They've been just dumping it out front, and then I move it out back and keep it here. This will be the first stuff that we mill. But I wanted to give you an update on this. So that took, let's just say, with lunch, 4 hours. To put that together with 6 sets of hands. I mean, it's not 6 sets, but 6 hands going at it nonstop. And tools. 2 impact guns. Multiple ratchet sets with 9/16 on them. So everybody had something. You know, if you don't have a set of tools, it's going to be a problem for you. We have a massive set of tools. So, you know, everybody could have their own impact gun with a 9/16, extensions, a short, deep socket, a wrench. I never pulled out an adjustable because we had plenty of 9/16 wrenches lying around. So everybody had their own stuff, and everybody's going at it, and that took 4 hours. So with everything laid out, with all the boxes around on the ground, with a machine to move it around, with the log deck already leveled, the mill deck already leveled, that took 4 hours crawling around in the mud. So that's the reality of what it's going to take to do this. And we're missing some parts, and we'll get them, and when we get them, we'll move on to the next step, and then we'll put the saw head together. And the saw head looks like, you know, if you don't have experience in doing that, that's going to be a tall task for you. I can tell you that now. I do. You know, I used to have, we were like I said, a full-line construction equipment dealer, one of the biggest in the Northeast, and sold everything from lawn tractors up to D9 size dozers. And we had a $14 million rental fleet. So, you know, a lot of my days were trucks would come in with just boxes of, let's say, smaller farm tractors. So we started with Simplicity. What was the next? Not Mahindra, but we went up to another farm tractor. And all I would do some days is just put them together. You know, they'd be in big boxes, and I would just sit in the shop and put them together, and then put them out front, so that when you drove by, we had tractors lined up all out front. You come in and just buy one. So I have that background. That saw head will not be a problem for me to put together. But if you don't have that background, guys, just looking through the schematics and the manual, you know, you're going to definitely have to watch Dave's video, and it's going to be a problem for you. So just understand that when you say, hey, I want to save myself the money and I'll put it together myself, you better have the capabilities of doing it, because it's not a simple thing. Norwood does a great job with their manual. It's incredible. It's terrific. Much better than I got as a kid to put, you know, half the time I was putting together garden tractors and smaller farm tractors, there was no manual with them, how they went together. You had to just figure it out. And that's reality, especially when you're dealing with overseas stuff. A lot of times, you know, there's nothing back then. There was nothing like we have today back in the 80s. You didn't have a resource where you could just look it up on your phone. Those things had to be done on the fly, and you just had to figure it out through common sense, like torque specs and things like that. This has got an ultimate resource in the manual. But to go through the manual, if you have to go through it step by step by step, it's going to take you forever. Just telling you that now. And that thing is heavy. You know, just standing those rails up from flat when we put them together to put the log bunks in, you know, that's a heavy process. It was me and my son. My son's 30. And it's a heavy process. So if you're in a building doing it on a concrete floor and everything's nice and flat and dry, it's not a big deal. But if you're out in the woods somewhere doing this, that's going to be a really tough process for you. I'm just letting you know the truth. I don't want to let on. I'm not bashing Norwood in any way. I think it's a terrific product. That's why I bought it. Their manual's incredible. Their videos online with Dave doing them and stuff, incredible. It's a terrific resource for you. You are going to have to use those resources. 100%. No doubt. I'm not going to pull any punches here. This is not as easy as it looks in Dave's video. I want you to know that going in. People trust me and watch me because I give them the truth, and that is the truth about this process. If you can't move this stuff around, and if you don't have any background in this, and if you're out in the woods somewhere, this is going to be a tough mill for you to put together. I'm telling you that now, especially if you're doing it with hand tools. If you're doing this all with ratchets and you know, a couple of box end wrenches, this is going to take you a long time. I actually would question your ability to do it. I almost guarantee that most of you in that are going to end up on the phone with Norwood saying, please, I will pay, send somebody out to help me. And that's where you're going to end up. So that's where we are, the beginning of our Norwood journey. We're going to get those rails. We'll get that thing put together. We'll get that all tightened up and trued and straight. Put the leveling feet on it. Put my deck underneath it. I'll pick it up, put it down on the deck. And then we'll put the saw head together, and we'll be sawing that pile of lumber. So, and that pile that's back there behind, some of that pile that's back there behind the Bobcat is some logs I've earmarked for it. And the rest of it will become firewood and end up in that pile over there. So that's it, guys. I wanted to give you an update. And so I didn't want to post yesterday's video before I did this one. And then I'll keep doing videos as we go to give you our progress and let you know where we are. So thanks. Happy New Year to everybody. Hit like, subscribe. If you know anybody going through this process, share my video just so that they can get a bird's eye view of what it takes. And I hope you guys have a great, happy, healthy, prosperous New Year. Thank you for watching.